Alright everybody, what's up? This is Ariel here for my first recap video ever of JC versus Young Ill. Um, the battle came out New Year's Day, and I was busy with some other things that I had to get out the way before I could sit down and take time and really do one of these videos. Um, Let me just throw this disclaimer out because a lot of people, for whatever reason, when I was doing my Armageddon predictions video, they felt that for some reason I was being biased towards other people. Let me just toss this disclaimer in. I am new to doing these style of videos, okay? I mean, I watch battles all the time, and I thought it would be cool for me to, just give my opinions on the battlers who I feel may have won this match or so. Why I feel they won the match, try to give some valid points as to why these people won and why these others lost. I just felt like since I watch battles all the time, it would be a good thing since I'm, not doing anything or at time where I have some free time on my hands. Like I said, I always watch battles, so why not try to give some of that insight, make videos about it. So yeah, so like I said, this is my first recap video. Don't come here expecting me to be like somebody that's been doing this for like 3 years or 4 years or what have you. Cause like I said, I'm new to it. I'm not that experienced in it, so don't expect a lot from it. I don't know what it is with people these days and them thinking that anytime somebody new steps on the scene and they do something new, such as me with these videos, they feel like I'm supposed to be at such a high level for whatever reason. I'm new to this, so with that being said, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna speak on Young Ill's first round, JC's first round, Young Ill's second round, JC's second round, and then of course Young Ill and JC's third round. And then there's gonna be some other um, things that I'm gonna speak on that I feel like that are very important, especially with the way this battle went down. I feel like this needs to be spoken on because it's a lot of people that are calling this battle whack and saying that this is the wackest performance between both of these guys that they've ever seen, and I beg to differ. And I know why they're saying that, but I'm gonna get to that when I get to it. So with that being said, let's get these into this recap. So round one, we're gonna speak on Young Ill and JC. Okay, round one, JC versus Young Ill. First, I'm gonna start off with Young Ill because he went first. Um, the way he came at JC, like he just came out swinging. Like it was no way you was finna outdo me. You let me go first, so I'm gonna pretty much try to beat you to death the best I can in this first round. And he went in on JC. I mean, like he was talking about how these new guys aren't as seasoned as they are, as the vets are, because they didn't have to sacrifice as much. And he was speaking on like how, like he said something about how like the only thing that was keeping you up, you know, like you couldn't eat and you couldn't sleep, and the only thing that was really keeping you up was the fact that you was letting your fans down. And he came at him hard. And then he did this punchline where he used all the seasons, and I mean, he had just worked that on him. He said, "You got these new niggas thinking they us, not autumn, but summer, fall for thinking they winners. They not seasoned enough," and that was crazy. I give that to Young Ill. That bar was crazy. Um, like he had another punchline where he was referring to him as like his son, because like they've been comparing them over, like pretty much over the years with Young Ill's hiatus. They were saying that JC and Young Ill kind of rhyme the same and such. So Young Ill, he was trying to play the role as dad per se, and he was just letting them know that, hey, I could have been what did he say? Like he said something about like cracking open the window and letting the sun shine, or something like that. And it was nuts, man. It was nuts. And the way he ended his round, that was so funny. He said, "I know every round you're gonna talk about the guns and how you pop it. We're gonna talk about that video later, but right now I'm gonna let you dance around the topic." And that was that was like the perfect way he could have ended that first round. In my opinion, that was just too nice. Even though I understand that he was gonna talk about something that everybody has pretty much spoke on before, like GA and Chilla Jones. They pretty much talk. Like they pretty much spoke on it in licks, but I don't think he only had like one battle ever, and that was against JC. And JC, yeah, that was pretty much a body bag. But I'm not even gonna speak on that. Because but yeah, but me seeing Young Ill over the years, I pretty much know that he was gonna approach this with like his own unique style that he has. Like he has like this stage presence that other that very few other people have. And he pretty much did that i- um in the third round. But I'm gonna talk about that when I get to the third round. The first round with JC, I kind of felt that this was that his first round was like one big setup, on like with some heavy punchlines in it, because everything kind of made more sense of what he did in the first round. Like that just kind of made more sense when he um like when he started his second round. It kind of made everything that he did in the first round make sense, like the reason why he did it the way that he did. But I'm gonna talk about that when I get to the second round. um he had some lines where he was talking about Averb, Hitman Holla, and like the whole STL movement. But he said that he was going to exclude B Magic because he made it clear that he don't fuck with those three. He was making some jokes. He said like the reason why I don't rock with y'all niggas, cause Verb wear satin blindfolds that's not for niggas. Ill dressed like he be watching niggas, and Hitman think he can reload a gun with bullets that came out a nigga. You know, like he was referring to Averb when he had that satin blindfold. Who he was going up against? I think it was X Factor. He was going up against X Factor, and he said something about like I already know that you can't see me, so it's only right to make this fair that I can't see you. So he put on this satin blindfold and he did some shit. Um, and of course with Hitman Holla and that punchline that he did against like John the Don at Summer Madness 2, when he said I pick up the 40 and knock the brains out of him, then reload with the same bullets that came out of him, or some shit like that. And basically that's what JC was talking about. He had some other punchlines in there, like he said something about uh, how Young Ill had stole uh, like DNA's punchline about um, Dale Earnhardt, and then Young Ill had flipped it on when he battled DNA. Like Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he was like quick to say 10-4 stolen rhyme, but he said no, he said Junior. That's a whole new line, or some shit like that. And then he had said something about uh, like you Will Smith and Ali, you acting but throwing another nigga punches, and that was dope. That was hard. And also like he had spoke on Shine and Gorilla Black. He said y'all talk big, but y'all don't rap like it. So it was it was a close round. For me, I felt like I said, like for like a number of reasons, I felt that Young Ill had took round one. Overall, like I felt they both was trying to prove the same thing. Like with Young Ill, like he approached it as like the only reason why you successful, the only reason why you've gotten as far as you did is because people think of me when they think of you, and because they miss me so much, they was just letting you come up in the forefront while I was taking my hiatus. And with JC, it was like, you know what, we aren't the same. So, and these are the reasons why. But before I get to that, I'm gonna talk about the entire STL before I get to the reason why me and you and our similarities aren't accurate as people think they are. So they kind of took somewhat of a similar approach in their first round. Uh, they were trying to explain to each other pretty much that we are not the same, and the reason why you are who you are is because of this, that, and the third. But the first round I gave to Young Ill because I know some people may give it to JC, but like he was talking about other people during his round, even though he had some punches in there. Again, like I felt like this was just one big setup, and just following into later rounds. So with that being said, I give round one to Young Ill. All right, second round, Young Ill versus JC. Young Ill, he started off strong, but he kind of ended his round kind of weak. You know what I mean? And it just didn't feel like he was caring too much about his second round. When he first started, like he used like this Mr. Miyagi theme where he was talking about how, like like JC, like he was playing the role of the Karate Kid, and like Young Ill, like he was Mr. Miyagi, and he just went in on him, and like I can't really quote too much of it, but he said like, you claim that you bang straps, but you didn't let that thing click clack when they broke my bonsai tree or some shit like that. And I even let you drove my, like drive my whip to prom, you know, when you could have had that raggedy car, like I let you use my fancy shit. Um, and he used some other shit like he was like talking about the Chilla Jones and JC battle where um JC had said, um, like in order for you to convince these real niggas that you a real nigga, like you gotta be real nigga. And Young Ill, like he kind of flipped that on him, and he said like, uh, like my homeboy, like he's doing 5 years for a gun charge, and he's doing 10 more years for off an unrelated conviction. So when you told Chilla that in order to be real, you gotta show these niggas you gotta be real. Being real is a feel, like it doesn't, and it doesn't take any conviction. And then he did some other shit about him trying to stay in a child, well, him needing to stay in a child's place, because like when kids at home and like they act all grown, but as soon as they hear those keys dangling when the door getting ready to open and their parents come home, all of a sudden they like you know they pretty much just turning back into a kid again. So he used that against him, and that pretty much sums up his entire second round. I kind of feel like his Young Ill second round, it felt like it fell kind of short. It felt that way. I'm not saying it did, but it felt like he didn't like. It literally felt like it fell short somewhat. And the way he ended it, and what I mean by that is like his energy, like it kind of it kind of reminded me uh of like Charlie Clips in that third round against Serious Jones. You know what I mean? Like he was performing all the way up here, but then he just declined. And even so, and somebody sent me a text. But anyway, yeah, like even so, even if he would have ended it strong, I don't think he would have won this round because I give the second round to JC. Now we gonna get into JC's second round, and the reason why I get to him. Now JC, he pretty much opened up his second round somewhat to from where his first round left off, because he pretty much just explained like he let that first round be as weak as it was. He purposely made it that way Because when he ended his first round, he said, "I promise to God that's the lightest round I got for you." And I don't think a lot of people caught that. I don't think a lot of people caught that. He had ended his round saying, "I promise to God that's the lightest round that I caught for you." And then he flipped those same words and he made a punchline out of it in the second round. Maybe some people may think I'm reading too much into it, but I think that was some type of unique thing that he had strategized there, and I think it was really unique. Um, in the beginning, like he had said, when people send me messages and those messages be like, "Yo, that last round wasn't hard," where it make me feel like God, bitch, I let it be light. And that ball was crazy. I mean, and you know how sometimes like battle rappers don't like to react to other battle rappers' punches, but some of them do. Like if there's something really good, the other battle rapper is gonna react to it like regardless. You know, and Young Ill, like he was like, "Woo," like that punchline. It was hard. And then he did this other shit about how his jeans was too tight. That like it's like, okay, like you want to fight, well you can swing right, I'm a like swing left, I move right, and then your jeans rip because they too tight or something like that. And it was crazy. And he said something about Cyclops and like the way that I target, like why not? Cause I kill, is something like that. Forgive me if I can't remember the exact lines. I don't think anybody can remember the exact lines like that for like all three rounds. But it was dope. And he had another punchline where he said like, "So end shit quickly, or I'm gonna slip in through the side door with those side texts that like I'm with my side hoe and my bitch hit me," and that was crazy too. Overall, this second round to me, it kind of felt like the same way some people feel about the the I'm sorry, they got people talking in the background. It's kind of confusing me, but yeah, it reminded me of the B Magic and Chilla Jones third round. Like the way people say, no matter if Chilla Jones, like didn't choke and he would have finished it off properly, like he still wouldn't have won it because B Magic was just throwing too many punches at him in that third round. That's the way I feel about JC and Young Ill in the second round. JC was just throwing, he was just throwing too many haymakers at him, and they was hitting, and they was hard. You know what I'm saying? Because that first round just felt like it just felt like one big setup to me, and it just paid off in that second round because it made what he did in that first round make more sense. You know what I'm saying? Somewhat, but like I give the second round to JC. Um, he was just throwing too many punches at Ill, so Young Ill got the first round. I mean, like I give Young Ill the first round because his punches was hitting kind of harder than JC's was. JC, he was throwing too many punches his way. Plus, Young Ill's energy, like he was just like not giving a fuck about the second round. Like he just didn't care. But yeah, Young Ill round one, JC round two, and round three is really where it starts to get close, in my opinion. But yeah, again, I'm gonna speak on that now. All right, the third round, I have to say, going for Young Ill, this was the most entertaining performance I've ever seen from Young Ill, hands down. And I think those who've seen this battle would agree with me. That was some out of the box shit that Young Ill did. I mean, even though Young Ill, like I said, he known for his unique style, and he does these antics on stage, but he kind of took it to another level when he was trying to imitate JC. But I'm gonna get to that in a sec. So he had opened up his round where, again, like going back to his first round when he said, "We know we was gonna talk. We know you was gonna talk about the hammers and pop it, but we gonna get to that video later. Right now, I'm gonna let you dance around the topic." In the third round, he kind of reverted back to that and he said, "Okay, now we gonna talk about this video since you wanted to dance around the topic." Um, and then he had said some shit like, "I seen the video and I thought that it may have been the worst one." And then he imitated JC in the video. He said like, "Hi, Chris, it's me again," which lets me know it wasn't the first one. You popped, locked, and gyrated for a grown man, and I ain't gonna hype it. But you made it worse when you smiled at the camera and said, "I hope you liked it." And it was nuts, man. Young Ill, like he can make a joke out of somebody, literally, and have that shit hurt in a painful way. And some of the other things that I liked that he did in that round, when he was talking about how like JC has been doing him for all these years. It's only right that he do you. And then he started doing like some waves and some pops and locks, and he's like, "That's how I make beef stew with this nigga." Yeah, I mean, like once you see the battle, or if you've seen the battle, then you pretty much know the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. Um, he just performed and entertained that third round like it was just nuts. And then like he used dance moves for like a short time where he said, I clap them needles where you can get your cabbage patch because I'm Macarenas." And he said like, "Young Ill, they say that you caught a body." And like, "Nah, I ain't come to kid and play." I mean, then he did like the little kid and play dance move where he said, "You ain't gonna hurt nobody." Like the song. That's for all like the '90s kids that like they really don't know. Like they really don't know. That really don't know about that song. My fault. I'm kind of talking fast. Had to catch myself. But yeah, Young Ill. I'm trying to remember like what else he said in that third round because I know like he said something else that I was gonna quote. Man, but it's gonna come to me later. Man, forgive me. Like I said, it's my first time doing these. I'm not gonna be perfect. Don't expect me to. And yeah. So the third round from Young Ill was madly entertaining. I really liked that. He had some bars in there, but he performed and he entertained. And that was by far the most entertaining round that I ever seen Young Ill ever do. Truth be told. Um, the third round with JC, like he just came with straight aggression. He didn't pause, and he had like a few punchlines in there that I like. Um, he was talking about that battle that he had with JC. I mean, between him and Chilla Jones, and like he said, and he told Young Ill, relapse will get that same kickback that Chilla caught. And of course, that flew over a lot of people's heads. For those who haven't seen that battle, like he had told him that, like he had told Chilla Jones that if I catch Chilla chilling, that fifth clap, boy, that bitch kicked back like it's chilling with him. And that was one of the crazier lines from that battle. But like he kind of reverted back to that. He said, "Young Ill better chill, or you gonna get that same kickback that Jones caught." So like another line that he had used in that I really like. Like he says something about the British Open or something like that. That backhand could win Wimbledon. And I honestly thought that bar flew over a lot of people's heads because a lot of people don't, either they didn't know what Wimbledon was or they didn't know it as Wimbledon. Because like tournament, the Wimbledon tournament is known as the British Open. Pretty much. And even though like he had to pause for a minute, but I don't think like a lot of people really caught that bar as they should have. Um, I'm trying to think what else he said. Mind you, I'm trying to remember everything here. Like JC, he had also had talked about Hitman again. Like he had said that well, like in the second round, he had mentioned, and I forgot to talk about this when I was talking about the second round. Young Ill, like he had mentioned how like Young Ill, like he's ranked third in St. Louis, but he's better than the top two dudes that are there. And then in the third round, like he kind of spoke on that again when he said that he could have battled Hitman, but even though like that would have been like a bigger battle, but that would have been a lot easier for him to do. Like he would have beat Hitman a lot easier than Young Ill. So he said, "Fuck that." Like fuck a bigger battle. Like he wanted competition because Hitman got, like he said, he got one, two, $300 for battling for Beanie Single, and that's like one of those underground videos that a lot of people may not have seen. Um, some random dude was telling him that, like some random dude was telling Beanie Single that, you know, something about him having to do the battle and he wanted to bet money on it. But then Beanie Single, like he brought out Hitman Holla, and of course, like he won $5,000 for him, and apparently, Hitman only got like 300 out of that 5,000 that he had won for Beanie Single, which was crazy. But yeah, like he just came in there with a bunch of aggression, and yeah, and he had a few punches in there, a few hard hitting jabs, which I spoke on. He said like a lot of dudes talk about the shotties, but if they never use them, they just pump faking or something like that. But yeah, he was pretty much trying to prove a point. Like he was, like the way I felt like he was so focused on trying to prove a point that he forgot to add in more punches in this round. You know what I'm saying? Because he got kind of aggressive, and not to mention that he did have a minor stumble um, like, towards the end of his round. So not because of that, just because I felt that even though it felt like JC may have done more, um, I think what Young Ill did was better. Truth be told, and I give round three to Young Ill, so I say Young Ill took this 2-1. But if somebody said that JC got the last two, in all honesty, I couldn't really be mad at you because the battle is pretty debatable. It does have replay value, and yeah. So with that being said, let me get into this, what's known as crowd control, but I'm gonna call it crowd interaction because I feel like that's a more accurate term. Okay, first I want y'all to think of it like this. Like when a blind person goes to the movie theaters, that blind person needs somebody else there with them in order to. Sorry, people in there arguing again. I'm sorry, but yeah, I like I want to compare this crowd in here too, because a lot of people are calling this battle whack simply because the crowd isn't there, and the people that are saying it, they aren't used to hearing just bars. They're not hearing, like they're not used to hearing just a performance battle. They're so used to the crowd getting into it, and I believe that for those who may see this video, for us that have seen multiple battles over the years, we can honestly say that it's people that have been battling that said some of the wackest shit you ever heard, but the crowd hypes it up to the point where it's like it's better than what it is. You know what I mean? So case in point, like with Summer Madness 2, like you need some type of crowd there because they can catch on to those hot lines and they can help raise the energy up in the room overall. But there is a breaking point. Like with Summer Madness 2, the crowd was terrible and they fucked up a lot of the battles that were happening there. But I don't want to get too far into that. Like I'm gonna talk about that later. Um, but yeah, like I compare this battle right here, and like the viewers that say this battle is whack because the crowd wasn't there, and you can tell that's pretty much the only reason why they were saying it was whack. And you sound like, oh well, this is the wackest performance because nobody was really cheering for either one of them. I've seen these comments in the, you know, pretty much under that video. Um, I would like to compare this to like a blind person going to the movie theater that need somebody else there to let them know what's happening on the screen. Because even though that blind person might hear everything that's happening, they can't see everything that's happening. So they need somebody there to explain to them about the actions that's taking place. Or I can also compare this to like that one person in the room that didn't get the joke, but they laughing just because everybody else is laughing. For me, like those viewers that said that this battle was whack, they are pretty much like that one friend or like that blind person going to the movie theater. They need assistance in order to be told what's hot. If the crowd doesn't cheer for, this bar or that bar, then it wasn't hot. It was subpar, it was lame or whatever. But like I said, like a little while ago, that for us who have seen battles over the year, we've seen people that spit like probably like 100 bars worth of material, but it be subpar, low quality BS, and then they get killed by somebody that did like a hot 16. Cause quantity does not equal up to quality. It never does. You know, if a person does less, but the punches hit so much harder, it's gonna feel like he's done more because the quality of what he's doing is better. Um, Now I'm not talking about the battle. I'm just using what I've seen battlers do over the years as an example of what I mean when I say this. Um, you know, Somebody can run their mouth constantly on the stage and just talk about nothing, and it be subpar, and nothing's hitting. People are bored when they listen to him. But then the other guy does like a little bit less, but the quality is much more, and the crowd likes it more. Or it's pretty much just better content. That's pretty much what I get from these viewers that's calling this battle whack. Like, of course, we all know about what at the Armageddon event. And it got shut down. But Smack and Beasley, they did a video on it. You guys can check that out on that channel at the URL TV page on YouTube. Um, yeah, so it wasn't really a lot of people there to react. Like basically, it was no crowd. I think they said like they let like what like 10 to 15 maybe 20 people in the event that actually paid there, that flew in, that drove from various parts of the country to be there. Like they only let like so little people in, and the rest was just like the press. And like the press, they're not really like like most of those guys probably aren't even into battle rap. Like they're just there to do a job, get paid, and leave. That like they're there to just make their videos, or like just make videos, take pictures, and just make their money and then just go. They don't really care about the performance that's going on. On the flip side, I know with some press that are there that are actually there to do their job and listen to some good bars. And you pretty much got that from this crowd, this little crowd that was there. Um, it wasn't a crowd there. So really, the only thing you can really look at this battle is the only way you can view this battle is the performance art, as an art form, as just pure art. Basically, no crowd, pretty much no crowd. Um, it was nobody there, pretty much. I mean, they had people there, but it wasn't a big of a crowd as it should have been. And it was not the way that it was supposed to be. And I kind of felt like this was fated to happen. And the reason why I say that is because for us as the viewers, the ones that's getting this for free, how can we look at this and how can we benefit from this? The way we can take it is that this will be a good way to separate the experienced listeners versus the inexperienced listeners. The ones who can catch on to a hotline and say, "Oh, that's hot," regardless if the crowd catches on to it or not. Because a lot of the time, certain times, certain crowds be there to dick ride and such and such. You know, Case in point, like I said, Summer Madness 2. And we're gonna talk about this for a minute. A crowd can help amp up can help really help the energy in the room by picking it up, or or if it's too much of a crowd there getting involved, there is a breaking point with the crowd. Summer Madness 2, for example, the crowd ruined a lot of those battles. They were booing and cheering for people in like the same round. You know what I mean? Like they first say like if a person took like 8 bars to get to a punchline because they used like 7 bars worth of build up. Then it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, set up, set up, set up, and then the crowd booed him. But by the time the guy got finished and the guy got to the punchline and he got to the point to what he was trying to speak on, then the crowd was cheering for him. And it was, and I hate to say this, but it was like a lot of those people in that crowd came from different battle leagues, and you know, like they were just used to like the 1, 2, 3, 4 punchline thing, and it seemed like at times that's all they were expecting was 1, 2, 3, 4 punchline, 1, 2, 3, 4 punchline, and they were booing people before they can even get their bars finished. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie, like a few of those cats deserved boos. A few of those cats deserved boos. A few cats deserve boos, and they didn't get them. But the crowd ruined a lot of battles there. So yeah, you need a crowd to help bring up the energy in the room. That's my computer box right there. I don't want y'all questioning what the hell I got back there, but yeah, um, a crowd can help or hinder a battle. In this battle right here, I believe like the energy in the room was hindered because they weren't letting people in. Um, Now, but to say that this battle was whack, to say that this was the wackest performance from either of those cats, I can't agree with you on that. I really can't. I can't see how this was the wackest performance from either of these dudes, and they just went in. It was back to back. You know, it does have replay value. Um, a lot of people may have been maybe turned off from watching it because of the fact that everything that happened. But to sit there and just say that the battle itself is whack, to say that what they did in the battle was whack, I felt that you're wrong because it was whack that Smack and like the URL team, like they lost so much money that they couldn't get back. Like they couldn't earn their money back in tickets and etc. Because Armageddon pretty much shut down and Webster Hall has shut them down, so they lost all their finances. That was whack. I think it was whack that all those people drove up there, wasted their gas, wasted their money for hotel rooms and such, and they didn't get to, you know, pretty much get inside the venue. It was whack that JC and Young Ill had to perform in front of a crowd like that, and it was whack that, you know, that the battle ended up turning out the way that it did. A lot of the battlers came there expecting a battle, but they weren't even able to perform. It was whack that Smack and URL had to go and find various other venues to do the few battles that they, well, like the one other battle I believe they had that night. They had to spend more money in order to get, like the Sue Surf and Conceited battle up because they needed another venue for it. That was whack. All those things were whack, but the battle itself was not whack. So to say that this battle is whack, it just goes to show you how many people are paying attention to bars and how many people are there just to try to be that one friend that can't get the joke, so they just laugh when everybody else is laughing. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. But off of that, I'm gonna just speak on it, the battle, and I say Young Ill took it 2-1, but I couldn't really be mad if anybody gave this to JC 2-1. It wasn't no 3-0 body bag or nothing like that, because neither one of those guys did anything quote unquote body bag worthy. Like some rounds they were good, some rounds they were not so good. Um, like they had rounds where they were good, they had rounds where they weren't so good, and I felt Young Ill took it. You know, Young Ill took the first round and he took the third round. But if people say that JC took, maybe he took the first and second, or like the second and third, you know, I'm not gonna argue with you. But yeah, like this is my first official recap. Again, don't expect me to be perfect. Like some other people that you may have watched. Uh, I'm gonna try to be as consistent with these as I possibly can, because I do have a life outside of this YouTube thing. Hence the reason why I haven't uploaded any videos to this channel in a long time. But with that being said, I'm gonna end the video here. Uh, and that's pretty much gonna be everything. So yeah, you guys take care and peace. Talk to you later.